How could you commit once for all to practice? And this question comes from the basic idea that practice is something which can transform a person. But personally, I must say that practice cannot make perfection, because practice is something which you do with your limited resources. Perfection is something which is beyond, unlimited. So if we are practicing with the idea of getting into perfection, you are mistaken. Because impossible it is. Practice can do something. I am not negating the practice, because I also ask people to do practices. So I cannot completely negate the idea of practice. But there is a common belief and a common dictum that practice makes man perfect. I don't believe. Practices improve the faculties of a person. Perfection is something completely different. So peripherally, we connect these two ideas, practice and perfection. We can never reach the state of perfection through practice. The moment when you drop your practice, you are already perfect. That's the point. So practice really keeps you all the time away from perfection. But we believe that practice can make a person perfect. That's a mistaken idea. It's a mistaken notion. But then why should you do practice? There is a purpose actually for purpose. It's a limited purpose. It's not an ultimate purpose. The limited purpose of practice is not perfection, but to get into a more what you call flexibility, get into a state of sensitivity, and getting into a state which is closer to feeling things which is happening in you, and it also pushes you closer to a higher awareness. This is the purpose of practice. And practice has physically, when you do practices, you are not really doing any perfection to the body, but you are taking away the unnecessary functions and the contribution of the unnecessary functions which are staying in the body as heaviness. You are trying to take away the heaviness from the body. That's why we do practices. You are trying to redo the chemistry of the body. When there is dirt in a pot, inside which you cannot get into with your hand to clean it, what you will do? You can pour some sand or some small particles and a little soap and you go on shaking, and then you pour it out. Then put again, you shake, and then you pour it out. After few shaking, you rinse it and it's clean. This is what is done in physical practices. We are shaking the body, really cleansing the body with innumerable postures, innumerable actions, movement, design movements with proper breathing. We really cleanse the system. When you once cleanse the system, you become flexible in your body. This is the purpose of physical practice. You become more flexible. If we ask the question, how were you when you were born? You were very flexible. I have seen small children, they take their leg and eat. At the age of 50, you lift the leg, it will never come up. What you have done, you have really lived a few years in this life, nothing else you have done. You simply lived a few years. And the environment, the society, the people around, and you yourself have really tensed you, and then finally you lost all the flexibility of your body and you become so stiff, and a stiff person cannot behave normally because it breeds a lot of tiredness, tension, stress, everything. Body is the expression of the mind. Mind is the subtle aspect of the body. And so whatever is there in the body will be there in the mind, and we become inflexible in our mind. It's like that. There is a big importance for practice. I started by the sentence that practice cannot make you perfect. I still stay there, and I am talking about the significance of practice. Unless you can commit yourself to practice, you will not be able to practice at all. And for committing, you need to have the need to do it. By grace, someone will say that this is good for you, if you don't find yourself what is good for you. And then the decision is there, you have to start practicing. When you start practicing, what comes out of practice is, from the very beginning itself, you will start to know, you will experience that it's good for you. It loosens you. The most difficult thing is to loosen. And practices really help you to loosen yourself. Ultimately, you have to lose everything. You have to become a great loser. This is the secret. If you are ready to become a great loser, you are you achieve. But this is the problem. We don't know how to lose ourselves. Losing ourselves is losing the hold on our own self, the projected self, the feeling that I am somebody. I know this. I am such and such. I have this much of money. I have this much of position. And people have to respect me. And all these kinds of idiotic things, nonsense, we have to lose. And when you lose, you will be flexible. So that's why we do practices. It is important for us to do practice, to loosen ourselves, to loose completely. And practices help. When once you start practicing, you understand that this is good because it does a lot of beautiful things in your life, that you slowly, by and by, you commit to it. No one can commit on anything unless there is a substantial experience offered by the thing which you are doing. So you cannot commit into practice. Instead, you can start practicing and the result will push you to commitment. This is important. How can you commit yourself? You don't think about the result of things. You just do practice. Then in course of time, it offers you a lot that you will unknowingly committed to this. And then you forget. And this is how you get into belief in things. Belief is completely different. How can you believe something which you don't know what it is? And people believe in Jesus Christ. People believe in Buddha. People believe in so many things. People believe in money. You cannot believe unless you have experience. When you have experience, you can commit. Because you start to get into faith and belief, and that belief will really support you to continue. And that will lead you to higher awareness.